Good morning, guys. I got some allergy issues this morning, so hopefully you guys don't have to deal with too much snorting. Hey, Static Fade. Good morning. Vissy, welcome, guys. I sound like you, Static Fade. Good morning, Shades, Jade. I feel I'm groggy and I've got allergies, which I mentioned earlier on the stream. So I'm like oozing. So bear with me here. I'll try not to grunt too much. Unfortunately, I ate some food yesterday that really did not bode well for me and my allergies. So, oh, cold. I'm sorry. Yeah, that stinks. Hey, Quad, welcome. Yeah, I've got bad allergy issues, and I'm living in Modesto, California, which is really bad for allergies, and I've got some food allergies, and believe it or not, if I eat certain foods, certain processed foods, I get bad allergies. I ooze. It's weird. So, anyways, yeah, yesterday I went to Burger King and I got a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup pie from Burger King, and I love those things. They taste delicious, but sadly, I'm learning that they cause me allergies every single time I eat them. So, no more of those for me. Woke up this morning with my eyes like stuck shut because they were oozing all night. Yeah, not fun. Anyways, enough about disgusting personal issues. All right, so I can be persuaded to work on pretty much anything this morning. I do have an idea. Typically, right after an official release is the best time to do restructuring, because anytime we do restructuring, it requires a lot of testing, and it's good to do restructuring early on in the development process for a particular version. So I have some ideas, or well, yeah, a couple ideas regarding that I think it would be good to maybe to tackle today. Haley, yeah, it is an interesting time right now. That show you like, really? They seriously, they record a show here in Modesto, California? That's crazy. I didn't even know that. K Money, welcome. Text to speech or multiple nested wheels. Sure. Change the location of your ROMs after they've been loaded in LaunchBox. Well, if you no, unfortunately, in right now there isn't. We need to add a process for that. American crime. I didn't even know that. That's insane, and I live here. Shows you how much I leave the house. Huh. Although that is a very fitting show for Modesto, California. One of the first things I see that comes up when I search American crime Modesto, California, I see Modesto residents are happy ABC's hit show American Crime is ending. It's hilarious. Uh, Oh, the not so flattering portrayal on primetime TV. Yeah. It's not a terrible area. There's not really that much crime, but yeah, anyways, there's enough crime for it to be annoying. Top voted tickets. Yes, we'll take a look at the top voted tickets. Hey, Critical Sid, Rincewind. I see, Jade. That makes sense. Rincewind, guys. You know who Rincewind is. He's the awesome guy that designed the cabinet for us and then also built these beautiful desktops for us. So if anybody wasn't aware of that, you are now. So everybody say a massive thank you to Rincewind for those amazing gifts. And you can download these and a bunch of other desktops on the forums as well, if you didn't know that. Hey, Phobos. Welcome. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I know. Now is a good time to do that too, since we just put out 6.9. Ali. Hey, Masking Tape. Agreed. All right. So let me pull up the tickets. Also, let me tell you guys what my idea is here. That I just got this idea this morning, really. So basically, there's a number of reasons why we do need to separate out the LaunchBox.xml file. And I don't have to do that on the stream, but I do want to do that here soon. Basically, we would separate the XML file out into a settings file, a big box settings file, and then a separate file for every single platform. And the reason why we would do that primarily is because, well, there's several reasons. One is that Rocket Launcher doesn't like things the way they are because it's slow, it delays things. It also makes the LEDBlinky implementation slow to load. So it's not really, it doesn't really slow down LaunchBox, and separating them out isn't necessarily going to speed up LaunchBox at all, but it speeds up integrations with other products, and then also it will help with like Dropbox, because anytime the XML changes, you're only changing a smaller file. You're not changing the whole file, and so it'll be a little bit more manageable in that sense. And then also, like for backups, it makes a little more sense because you only got to back up one file when a small file instead of a huge file, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Although we don't have to do that on the stream, we can tackle something else on the stream if you guys would prefer. Cool. Yeah, and the reason why I think now is a good time to do that is just simply because we've got plenty of time to test now, and that is quite a big restructuring thing. So now would be the best time to do something like that, I think. Go for it, Masking Tape. Image and sound packs. Ah, yeah, Sid, I agree with that. Sure. That makes sense, Masking Tape. How's the NAS stuff working for you? It's just your ROMs that are on the NAS, right? We don't have a lot of people using NAS stuff for performance reasons. Yeah. So, but with just the ROMs, that does make a lot of sense. So I feel you there. I think that is a good idea. My only thing is I'm not sure that's going to have mass appeal. So it's going to be hard to prioritize something like that. But yeah, that would be I can see the usage scenario for that would be great. Makes sense. All right. Well, let's go ahead and if you would put in a ticket for that masking tape, I'd appreciate it. So before we get started here, let's go ahead and let's pray, and then we can unless I get a bunch of other feedback. Otherwise, it seems like we've got the most support for the XML stuff. So we'll get started on that, and we'll keep obviously after a big release, it's time to just keep adding features. So we'll definitely get to the other stuff quickly as well. But anyways, let's pray. Lord, thank you for the opportunity for a clean slate to start fresh with a new version. Thank you for the successful release that you helped us achieve. Thank you that we didn't have any major bugs, we didn't have any major issues, and things are just for the most part going very smoothly with this release. Thank you so much for that. I know that happened because you're working with us, because I know I'm not capable of doing that by myself. So thank you, Lord. I pray that you would help us in development today as we proceed. Help us to be productive. Help us to be kind to each other. Have loving conversations. Keep the trolls away, and just help us to focus on you and the development, and have a good, fun, and productive session today. In your name we pray. Amen. All right. So, here we go. XML. So here's the data manager, what I have up right here. And the nice thing about changing the XML is pretty much everything is done in the data manager. So this isn't something that is going to require touching all kinds of files and touching all kinds of different things. In theory, it's all separated out, and so it should just be a matter of re-implementing this particular class for the most part is all we're going to need to do, which is good. That's a very good thing. But it is going to be a major job. If things go really, really well, we could possibly be done with this by the end of the stream today. We'll see. But it will take a while. Jade, for some odd reason, I never thought of God as good with coding. Well, I tell you what. Yeah, I hear you. I know what you mean. It's crazy to think that that God would anyways, but really God created everything. Of course, He created us. So He created coding through us. All that stuff. So I fully believe that God can help out with anything in anybody's life. I do. And I also, I'm to be honest, I mean, I share this all the time. I can't do this by myself. You can call me crazy. I don't really care. There's no way I could have built LaunchBox without the Lord's help. And I'm serious when I say that without the Lord being on my side, the Lord being a significant part of this project, it wouldn't exist. So it's a pretty big deal. Martin. Oh, okay, sure. Thank you, Martin. Are you having trouble with voice control right now, Martin? Still? I'm sorry. Are you? Yeah, because I got several Martins that I know on the forums, and sometimes I have trouble keeping track of everything. So I'm sorry for that. I'm not sure what forum username you're using. Okay. Okay, I think we're gonna put off the voice control stuff for the stream. I get you. I get you. So yeah, if you don't mind, I think we're gonna put off the voice control stuff for this stream, and then we'll get to. I can get to that stuff later this afternoon in the beta testing thread. I haven't reviewed that thread since like Saturday, so. Um, but anyways, sure. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that. Coding seems so what, Jade? Errored. So weird. I don't know. Okay. All right. So here goes. We got a weird. Sure. God's really just a huge nerd. Or no. God, God, God is the big boss guy up in heaven, and Jesus is sitting there with his nerdy glasses. Anyways, um, so we have a file watcher. You got to bear with me in this. I'm actually gonna give away some shirts at the convention, but yeah. I guess I didn't know that was a big thing. If people want shirts, I can certainly give away some shirts. Maybe we can hold some contests. No problem there. You can go ahead and purchase those shirts too if you want, although the link isn't publicly available. I just need to um, I need to get the link up. Spreadshirt, frankly, sucks, which I've discussed before, and that's where we went for the shirts, and they're still available, but I'm kind of embarrassed to support Spreadshirt, so that's why I've kind of made it not public. Anyways, moving on. So we use this data manager, and we just do the single file where we do the saving. So the first step is to make the saving separate the stuff out, I think. So let's go to the save method. We do this save internal method is what does all the actual saving. Yeah, you know what, Ali? I was excited about doing a LaunchBox mug too, and you know what we did is we actually built a beautiful LaunchBox mug that looked perfect on the web, and then we had them ordered from. I had a test mug ordered from Spreadshirt, and it came. It was the worst quality piece of crap I'd ever seen in my life. So I'm like, and that was like a repeated thing. The only thing Spreadshirt does well is shirts. Everything else they make is just like the worst quality crap. It was so bad that, like, if I had ordered something for a different product and it came in that quality, I would have been really angry. I mean, it was that poor. So I had to take the mugs down because it was just crap. That's a good point, Jade. So let me give you the link. I think it's just launchbox-app.com/merch. Really, I mean, it's public. It's just there's just no link to it, is what I meant. So if you guys did want to order something, go ahead. I just sent out the link to you guys. And the shirts, all the quality of the shirts is all decent. I'm a little bit disappointed in the quality of this one, the You Got LaunchBox. This was actually a contest that we held, and I love this design. Unfortunately, the print of the design isn't as good as I would have liked it to be. The colors are a little faded, and it just doesn't look as nice as the others, which is irritating. Spreadshirt just kind of ruins things. I have not tried the buttons, and I have not tried the pillowcase. I hope they come out well. I would assume they do, but I don't know. But anyways, here's the page where you can order these shirts. Yeah, I know. Oh, I hear you, masking tape. That's why I took it down, because it was just like they fail. Spreadshirt's horrible. Yeah, exactly. I really like that shirt too, which is, I mean, we just need, basically I need to go through and get a different company to make these shirts because it's just not good. The shirts are, oh, mugs. Yeah, yeah, we can make some more, we can make some mugs. Absolutely. It's just a matter of getting around getting around to doing it. So, I do need some more swag for the convention. So, perhaps uh perhaps I should get some mugs. I don't know. Not a bad idea. All right. Anyways, save internal. So we have all these tables. We're using a .NET data set in order to save these XML, save XML, and basically we add it all to the data to a single data set right now, and then we save the whole data set. Um, Mousepad, not a bad idea. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to have a LaunchBox mousepad too. So yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll look into that. I'll put that on my to-do list here. Better merch. All right. So we start with platform, and we add it to platform folders table, and then I think we add all these to a data set later, which this is what we're going to change right here, because each one of these tables is going to go into a new data set and then saved into a separate file. And the tricky thing there is we also have to separate out the games table into various tables and data sets for each platform. So oh man, that's ridiculous. uh, I'm laughing at Game God 1985's comment. Elliot, welcome. A keychain, sure. All right, so first off, let's try and decide where we're going to put these XML files. I don't think we want to put all the XML files in the root, because you're going to have at least 10, 15 of these things. And depending on how many platforms you have, if you have 40 platforms, you're going to have a lot of files. So, hey, Stiflus, welcome. We are restructuring the XML and separating it out right now. We're restructuring the LaunchBox.xml to separate it out into platforms, and yeah, perhaps a data folder would be good. Either that or we put it in metadata, but we already have files, MAME, and metadata in here, and these are basically downloaded from the LaunchBox Games database for use when searching and adding new metadata. Basically, this is a copy of all the metadata, not the images, obviously, but all the metadata from the LaunchBox Games database gets downloaded from there into here. And then we have these other random files, and these are the various language translation files. Basically, this will help to speed up Rocket Launcher's implementation, Stifless. No, unfortunately, I still don't have any faith, DOS, that this will gain us any performance. Really, as far as like navigating between platforms and stuff like that, it won't. What it will potentially do for us is gain us performance with things like LEDBlinky and Rocket Launcher, and then help with backups and stuff like that. Dropbox for instance syncing is going to be quicker, that kind of thing. Rocket Launcher will have to change your plugin, yep. But they'll be very, very happy when I tell them that I did this, because this is what they asked for from the beginning. So it's not necessarily mostly for Rocket Launcher users, but it'll be big for them. I think as the XML grows, it's just going to be more flexible. I still don't buy into the fact that it's going to be any quicker, but it's definitely more flexible. People complain, oh, I can't edit a 50 megabyte XML file in Notepad. Well, no kidding. It's those kind of complaints. And I agree that it's a cleaner solution to separate it out at this point. So that's what we're doing. The other thing is it opens up some more possibilities for imports. It makes it easier to import a platform, for instance. So say what you do is if you have a platform of games and you want to move it between collections, well, now all of a sudden you can copy your XML, you can copy your images, just paste it in the right folder, and boom, magic, you've moved stuff over to a new collection. It'd be really easy to combine different platforms. There's a lot of there's a lot of improvements for this type of setup. Everything is easier. So yeah, I think we'll create a data folder. That makes the most sense to me. So let's go line by line. Let's start with emulators. So at this point we have populated our emulators table. Oh, we need emulator platforms. I see. Emulator platforms need to come first. Where am I populating my emulator platforms, though? Oh, sure. Okay. So we have emulator platforms and emulators, and I think it makes the most sense to put these in a single XML file called emulators. So yeah, let's do that. All right, so we have this stuff, which is a lot of this stuff is going to have to change. And we do it like this in order to prevent corruption, just in case something crashes while it's saving, or somebody kills the process while it's saving. But so I think what we should do is add a method, private void create or generate XML, and then we take a data set, and in this case we're going to create a new data set. And go from there. So dataset.locale, and then dataset.tables.add emulator platforms table, and then dataset.tables.add emulators table. And from there, we call this dataset.write.xml, which is going to generate the XML, but that's going to be part of this. So from here, we basically just say this.generate XML. We'll feed it in the dataset, and then the destination path which first off string data folder equals path.combine application.startup path data. If not, directory.exists data folder directory.create directory data folder. So now we have that guaranteed. We have guaranteed that folder is created, and we can use it. So the path in this case is going to be path.combine data folder emulators.xml. Edit in Visual Studio like a proper leet, like a proper leet thing. I don't know. Some people would argue with you, Jade, using Microsoft development tools instead of, say, Emacs or VI on Linux. I think that's what a lot of people would call leet. Martin, I think actually, yeah, thanks for joining. Have a good one. I'll get back to you in the beta thread here later today. I do think the UK. I don't think you're the only one dealing with those issues in the UK. I think it's only people in the UK, but obviously we got to fix that because that's a whole lot of people. There's a lot of people in the UK. So sorry about that. We'll get that fixed. Gedit. Yep. All right. Let's change the name of this. Because we're using dataset down below. And we'll probably get rid of that, but oops. Okay, so that's our first one. We gotta build out this generate XML method. But actually, let's keep going. We'll get to that in a little bit here. Next, we have platforms and platform folders. Which I think should go into the platforms XML. Here's our platform for each. And we add to both. That makes sense. So then we're going to do the same thing here. We don't need to redeclare it. Platforms table and platform folders table. In this case, it will be platforms.xml. Okay. And then we have games and mounts and additional applications, custom fields, saved filters, settings, and big box settings. Now, games and mounts and additional applications and custom fields are all on games. So basically, That's all game related, and so these are the ones that are going to need to be separated out per platform, I believe, unless we were to separate out additional applications and custom fields into their own thing. But I think we want all the game stuff to be in the various platform things, so that's going to help for imports. Saved filters are their own separate thing. Settings and big box settings are also their own separate thing. So I think we should do the game stuff last, because we got to separate out by platform, and that's going to be difficult. So let's tackle these. Saved filters is going to change completely. That's another thing we really need to revamp, but we'll go ahead and do it here. Where do we populate? There's our saved filters. Okay, and this, we just need to add saved filters table. Get rid of that one. And this becomes saved filters. I always hated Emacs. Oh man, I hated that thing. I used, I was, in my Linux days, I used Nano. Just because it was the only one I could use. I could figure out how to use. Yeah. Well, and I'm talking like not the GUI editors like gedit, of course, but as console editors, I always use Nano. Okay, that should do it for save filters, and then we have settings and big box settings. Same thing. These, though, okay, so this is what is populating. It's done a little bit differently for these. We need to then create our sets, add the tables. So we still need all these for both of these situations. And this is settings. And big box settings. There we go. So that is everything but the game stuff. And these 4 tables are all part of games. So, and we populate all 4 of these tables in this single for each loop here. We have to divide this for each loop up per platform at this point. So basically, we need a different for each loop for each platform. And getting the platforms. Let's do this. Let's go for each string platform in this dot games dot values I already do this somewhere. Where do I do this? Platforms. Here, get all platforms. Okay, and this, yeah, we'll go ahead and use this. And we obviously want the hidden and the broken ones because we got to save them. We probably don't want to include the empty ones though. So get all platforms true, true, false. Okay. And then this stuff is going to go inside of the for each. Hey HM, I don't think I can pronounce I don't think I can pronounce that, my friend. How you doing today? So for each of these, we are going to need to create these 4 tables, and then go through values only where the platform matches. Hey BRB. All right. Question is this, I need to figure out if this is case sensitive or not. Okay, so it's a case insensitive string collection. So basically, items that contains, items that, okay, sure. So it's case insensitive. So what we need to do is do this. G.platform is not equal to null, and G.platform dot equals platform string comparison dot current culture ignore case. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay, then we add the game. We are working on we're working on separating out the XML file right now for various reasons. So basically we're separating out into different files based on the different types of data. Because now is the time to do any restructuring that could use done, because we just came out with 6.9. Okay, so we're adding the game table, or we're populating the game table, the game in the game table. We're going through all the game's mounts and populating that. Same thing, additional applications and fields. And then, when we're done with each platform, we need to do this data set stuff. So set equals new data set. No, it doesn't really have anything to do with HyperLaunch XMLs. That would still be completely separate. In other words, this won't help us with that, unfortunately. But that's still something that I have in my head, especially when it comes to audits. So we definitely haven't ruled that out, but that's not a current main focus either. Okay, so at this point we need to add the 4 tables we got here, which is the games table, the mounts table, the additional applications table, and the custom fields table. Oops. And then generate XML, and the name of the file is going to be utilities dot what is the method? Coerce valid file name from the platform. Now the only issue I can see so far with this is what about games that don't have a platform specified? So we kind of need to do that here as well. Something to handle the games without a platform. So I guess, you know, I don't really want to copy all this code, but get all platforms dot. We ought to be able to add an empty string to this. Coerce. Yes. The definition is to obtain something by using force or threats. There are no games that don't have a platform, but people will do it. I promise people will do it. The basically people, it's possible to add games without a platform, so for that reason we have to be able to support it. Oh, sure, Jade. That's a custom method, and that's a very complicated custom method. Basically, what that does, this is the method right here, and what it does is it takes any string and converts it into a string that is usable, guaranteed, safe to use as a file or folder name, ultimately. So, and it's a very complicated thing, believe it or not. For example, you can't use any of these particular words as files in Windows. Most people don't know that. But if you try and name a file one of these things, you're going to run into problems, at least in certain versions of Windows and that kind of thing. So it's a very complicated process. So we got all these reserved words. We have a regular expression to get rid of the invalid characters. And then we go through the reserved words and all this stuff. Anyways. But that's a really useful method. I use that all over the place so that we can, you know, build a safe file name from any particular string. Yep, absolutely. Without that, we'd be in trouble. That's a pretty important thing because we're, you know, we got images named with game file name, or image file names named by games, and then obviously platforms, a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Unknown platform. Yeah. But I need to add in get all platforms. Well, is this going to return an empty? In theory, it should return the empty string anyway. So we go oh, but we do if not string is null or empty. Include empty. Where are we even using include empty? Okay, if include empty, I see. We add all the empty ones. But then I'm going to add another thing in here. Bool include no platform equals false. Now, we're going to change this up. if this dot game, no, if game dot platform, no, if string dot is null or empty, game dot platform, then we do one thing. If include no platform, if not include no platform, then we're going to continue. Otherwise, what we're going to do is if not items dot contains string dot empty, then we're going to add string dot empty. And then what we can do down here is continue, and we can get rid of, at this point we know it's not string.empty or null, so we can just do this. And this will add an empty string if one exists in for a platform. And then when we're going through this, not there yet. We're going through this loop here. Well, we do need to say include no platform equals true. And we're going through, wait a minute, did I include no platform? Did I use that? No, yeah, I did. We're good. All right, so as we're going through this, we should get an empty string in the results if there are games without a platform. So that's good. And what we can call, it's not going to be null, it's going to be an empty string. And so this should still work. And so it's going to go through the process like usual. And the only thing we need to change is this. So basically, platform.length equals 0. Then we do one thing. Otherwise, we do that. We're going to say unknown platform.xml. And that should handle that scenario, I think. So we should generate a platform-specific XML now. We don't need this code. Now what is going on here? If string.is a null or empty destination path. So destination path, we have the ability right now, and this whole logic is going to have to change. Right now we have the ability to save things to a different location. Reason being, for exports, we need the ability to save to a different spot. So, but I think we're going to have to change this to use a folder, ultimately. I see. The backup XML method is going to have to change. This is all going to have to change. So, but all this stuff needs to happen for every single one of the. It needs, basically, we need to use this stuff to populate the generate XML method up here that we haven't populated yet. So ultimately, and then the data manager file change stuff all needs to change. There's a lot of work to do for that kind of thing. But I want to just test the generation at first here to make sure that's working. So that's like step 1. But let's go ahead and cut this out. The other thing is, I'm going to change this. We're not even using this right now, and we need to. So destination folder. And what we need to do is, if destination folder string.isNull or empty destination folder, then we set it to the default. Otherwise, we set it to whatever the destination folder was. And I think that'll do it. Gonna have to change that method completely. I'm gonna comment this out for now. Well, this stuff needs to change. Like, this whole thing needs to change. So, and then we use a temp file, which is fine. We write to the temp file, so we say set.writeXML to the temp file name. And then we go through this whole process. Which copies the temp file. After it's successfully saved it, we copy the temp file over the destination path. Over top of the destination path and overwrite it. If we happen to have an IO exception for some reason, then I sleep for half a second and we try again, to help prevent a few errors where maybe Dropbox is in the middle of syncing the file or something of that nature. And if we run into the exception again, we try it one more time. So we try 3 times. And then we give up. And if we're successful, we delete the temp file. Then we sleep for a quarter second, just because I ran into some synchronization issues with this file change stuff, which we'll get into later. Hey, Jero Endawal, welcome. Because I like spaces. There's going to be spaces in the platform names too. So this is like, we're not in it's not 1989 anymore. I mean, it's spaces and file names aren't really an issue these days, on Windows anyways. But, you know, is there a particular reason why you don't like spaces and file names? But we're going to have spaces in all the platform file names too, so. Anyways, in theory, we have a lot of work to do yet, but in theory, we should build, for one, and 2, we should have all these files generating properly when we save. Of course, it's going to be completely broken right now because it's saving one spot and loading a different spot. So that's the trick. A lot more work to do in loading. And then also checking when a file's updated and stuff like that. See what happens. No worries, man. I'll just call you Jero. If that works. I hate when that happens. I still don't understand why that happens. So if we make any change at all, it should save to the new folder. So let's just say this is the Adventure Island series, because it is. And press OK. And in theory, under data, the data folder showed up. Okay, so I'm missing my XML extension, but you can see it going through and saving everything live right now. That's cool. So I got to add an XML extension. That's the only thing I forgot. But yeah, neat. Very nice. That worked well. Notepad++. If only you opened quickly. There we go. So we get our games, additional applications, mounts, just for this platform. Awesome. So let's go ahead and exit and delete all this stuff. Oh, it's still exiting and saving on exit, which we need to fix so that only the changed files are saved now. So when saving stuff, in theory, it could be quicker. When loading, at least when you start it up, it's certainly not going to be any quicker. But there are situations that could be improved performance-wise a little, but I'm not sold on major performance improvements. Because the saving already happens in the background most cases, most times anyways. And so you don't even know that it's doing it. But, you know, who knows? We might get some performance improvements that are noticeable. We'll see. So first things first, we need to fix the .xml thing. Course file name platform plus .xml. What did I just do? There we go. The universe didn't implode. So yeah, this is probably the easiest part of what we're doing, but yeah, that worked well. Good start. Not bad for an hour in. Not bad at all. Well, the thing is, K-Money, that's useless. You can't do anything with just systems.xml. Well, I get what you mean. So like the yeah, in theory we could load things in the background so that when you first show the platform screen, there's data on the platform screen that's needed in other locations. But yeah, there are things that we could do in that regard. However, to be completely honest, it's not necessarily loading that data that's slowing things down that much, but maybe I don't know. We'll see. This does introduce the opportunity to speed a number of things up, do things in different orders, delay load things, stuff like that. So yes, this in itself probably won't make that much of a difference performance wise, but this does open us up to some potential other things we can do to improve performance. As far as when things load, of course, it's just all tricks though, because the stuff has to be loaded at some point eventually, regardless. So it's kind of but we'll see. Fire this up. We're going to be missing our series because it's saved to a different spot. Morning, Retro. Folder. There it goes. One thing I am noticing is that the saving is a lot slower. When we save everything, the saving is significantly slower. So that is kind of a that kind of sucks. Because generally the save goes a lot quicker when we're not having to save the individual files, frankly. So that is kind of a downfall. But in theory, the thing is, like, rarely are you ever going to have to save everything with this case. Because what we can do is we can keep track of what changed and then only save the particular files that changed. So that's the reason why this should be a performance increase. Another thing I'm thinking is in the weird scenario where you happen to create a platform named settings, that's going to cause some problems. So as a safety measure, I'm thinking perhaps we should create a subfolder for platforms. Because in that case, just in case you do something crazy like create a platform named settings, or create a platform named platforms, or create a platform named big box settings, or something stupid like that, it wouldn't fail. Because right now it's going to overwrite files and completely corrupt everything if you did that. So that's not good. So we should really create a subfolder for the platforms, I'm thinking. So let's string platforms folder equals path.combine data folder platforms. That'll ensure that both the platforms folder and the data folder is created. And then instead of saving the platform files into the data folder, we need to save it into the platforms folder. And then hopefully we can move on. Oops. Yeah, it's still saving. Come on. All right. Yeah, coerce is used for. I mean, I could, but that would add unnecessary complication, I think. That's the thing. Exactly. Jade, I'm with you there. So, one more time, let's do the same thing. And watch this populate. There we go. Big box settings, emulators, platforms, save filters, settings. And then we have platforms that are still generating. Cool. Good shape. So next, we're going to need to load from these And the other important thing is we're also going to, of course, need to support loading the LaunchBox.xml as well, so that either of them will work. Thank you, Jero. Take it easy. The save method, I think that should be fine. This is the method we're going to have to come back to for the backups. That's not going to work for the backups. We have to change that up. And this is going to have to be changed as well. Let's go ahead and work on the file change stuff. We have a bool right now. We're going to change this to a private static list of string files changed. And this is going to have to change. I think any file in the so let's do this here first. If so, this is in the constructor, so this should happen no matter what. If data manager dot files changed equals null, then data manager dot files changed equals new list of string. Oh, case insensitive string collection. That probably should be that's probably better, actually. I don't have to do this, but let's go ahead and do that. Because these are file names, so you can't have a with Windows you can't have two file names that are the same with different cases. So in our file system watcher, the path is going to change. This, I don't think we're just not going to set a filter. And the path is going to be path.combine application.startup path and data. So basically what this will do is anytime any file is changed by Dropbox or some kind of sync algorithm or anything, the application will know about it. But we need to know what file changed. So args dot full path. There we go. So we say if data manager dot files. Wait a minute. Nope. Files changed dot come on. Contains args dot. Now we can't do it like that. We gotta. I can't one line it, unfortunately. I should just add a method for it, really. Okay, data manager dot watcher dot changed plus equals. There we go. args.fullpath. There it is. And in theory, we can use the same method for all four of these. Okay, there we go. So this is used so that when we reload things, we check to make sure that if the file isn't changed, we don't bother reloading it. If the file has been changed, we do reload it. Now, in the case of the situation where you've got LaunchBox loaded or Big Box loaded on two different machines, you got one machine over here that is using it, and it just saved a setting in Big Box, and you've got this machine over here that's running LaunchBox. So say you're running LaunchBox over here and Big Box over here. Big Box changes a setting. Previously, LaunchBox over here would have to reload everything, but now all it has to reload is the Big Box settings. So I mean, it works better this way for syncing operations. And this file system watcher is what helps LaunchBox know when a particular file is changed and will need reloaded. So down here, this is the force reload method. Sure. So instead of doing this, we're going to say files changed dot clear, because this is going to basically reload everything on purpose. Force reloading everything. Although okay, and then we have reload if needed. Sure. I'm going to say true. Wait a minute. That was already doing something. Let's go to that definition. Bool settings only. Okay. We need to do a bool force reload all. Oops. We need to. I'm just going to do that. Wait a second. I got to pay more attention. It was false by default. Okay, of course it was. What am I thinking? False and then true. and reload if needed. Instead of doing that, we need a big to-do on this, because this is the big thing that we're going to need to change. That's going to integrate pretty heavily into the load method. Generate XML, sure. So down here, the other thing is we don't need to save something if it didn't change. So we got to add that stuff here soon as well. And then what we got going on up here, load settings only, and then force reload all, false. Although this is, that should be true, largely because we're reconstructing the data manager. Oh, that's interesting. So right now we build a new data manager with every time we reload the data, which isn't going to work. We're going to have to change that up. So that's going to be a major restructuring thing. Interesting. So this is loading it from a particular path, false and true. Still here? What do you mean, Jade? Are people just too quiet? People are getting bored. So we got to work on this load method ultimately. Load. Everyone is sleeping. There it is. All right, so basically, this get XML file path isn't really going to apply. Oh, but there's the default old XML file path. We have to load from either one. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. So, let's see. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Retro. Okay, sure. So we have a single data set versus several data sets. We're going to have to separate this out, I think. Into several methods, because this is just too much. So for starters, load settings, for example. Private void load settings. Force reload all. So we shouldn't call this method unless we actually have to load the settings, but that can be outside of it. So I think we need to check. We need to either load it from LaunchBox.xml or load it from the proper settings path. This is going to have to change here, I think. This is being used to return the custom path, or yeah, that's going to have to change. That's not going to work. So let's see here. We have a custom folder path. That's what I'm trying to make. I'm trying not to break the custom location stuff. And unfortunately, so path, this.path is going to be a folder going forward. So if this.path is not equal to null, we have to get the particular file path, and the particular file path is going to be, well, first off, string file path. If this.path is not equal to null, then file path equals this.path. Else, if so, file path equals path.combine application.startup path data, the data folder, and then settings.xml. So next we check to see if that exists. If file.exists file path, if not file.exists file path, then file path equals path.combine application.startup path LaunchBox.xml, and we're going to pull it from there instead of the new setting stuff, right? Okay. Making wire harnesses for elevator brake test tools while listening and occasionally glancing up the screen. Wire harnesses for elevator brake test tools. That's cool. Huh. Calculating storm sewer pipe diameters, flows, and velocities. That's pretty neat, guys. Wow. All of a sudden I feel like I'm a kitty coder here. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so we now have our file path. And if not file that exists, file path, then we're going to return. We got nothing to load. Otherwise, we say this reading XML. This all the splash form stuff is going to have to change, of course. Okay. So then we have our data set, and we can say, what do we do with the settings stuff? Here. Yeah, we don't really need that, I think. Okay. And then populating settings. Really, it should be moved up to the top. Okay, some fixes there in loading the settings. So that should do it. The only thing is this, we need to change, move it out of there and put it at the beginning here, the load method. So that's just the settings, but that's start. So first off, if force reload all or data manager dot files changed dot contains the settings path, we should have a better way of doing that. Let's do private bool get settings file changed string name. Return data manager files change contains path combine application started path data we need to handle platforms here too. Bool platform. If platform, then we do one thing, else we do this. Wait a minute. This is not, yeah, we gotta do this different. Private bool get platform file changed, string platform, and then get, it's not really settings, get file changed. Okay, and this is going to be similar but a little bit different. This is utilities.coerce valid file name platform. Okay. Now, if force reload all or this.get file changed settings.xml, then we go ahead and call this.load settings. Okay. And then we move on to a different file, I guess. Makes sense. Big box settings. Let's do that one next. I'm going to go ahead and copy this because it's going to be similar. Load big box settings. We don't do that for big box. So leave that out. Obviously, this is going to be big box settings.xml. Good enough for now. That's going to change the big box setting stuff. Okay. If force reload all or this.get file changed big box settings.xml, this.load big box settings. Okay. Next, we could clean this up a little. The other thing is we're reloading the entire LaunchBox.xml file every single time, which is kind of a problem for the first load. Obviously, you know, once you get past that, that's never going to happen again, but that's kind of dirty. So we might want to do something about that. I'm not sure. We can come back to that though. So next, let's go ahead and do maybe emulators. So I'm going to copy this method again. And this will be load emulators. Emulators.xml. And this is going to be different. Let's go down to, there's emulator platform. We must do emulators up farther, I guess. There it is. So we start with this. This needs to go up to the top. We do have to deal with the settings only. So there's emulators and emulator platforms. Good. Okay. And then if force reload all or this.get file changed emulators.xml this.load emulators. But if not, settings only and. Okay. No worries, Jade. I don't know what was going on. Okay. One other thing that just came to my mind is clearing out existing stuff. So I'm gonna have to think through that. But let's keep going with what we're doing here. Emulator settings, big box settings. We have platforms and saved filters. Let's do saved filters here first. Filters. Okay, and this is saved filters, right? Oh. Yeah. Well, I get the space comment now. I'm just kind of a dummy. So the platforms have spaces, but these don't. I don't know why I missed that before. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm dense. Goodness. Okay. JS. Yes, 4K lines in one class. You can call me an awful coder if you'd like. I don't really care. All right, saved filters.xml. Good, good, good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now this stuff changes down here. Filters. We already have that up top. Get rid of this. If not, settings only and force reload all, or this.get file changed, saved filters.xml, this.load saved filters. Okay. And then we have platforms to tackle. So hey, Game Room, welcome. Okay. Going to kill that. Load platforms. So there's that. Is there anything else in platforms? Platform folders. They're way down here. Okay. So we start with that. And then sure, we do the add missing platforms. And then the platform folders. And that won't apply. That'll do it. Load platforms. So if not, settings only and force reload all, or this.get file changed platforms.xml, this.load platforms. All right. Okay. Games, which we have to separate out into the various platforms, of course. The rest of this stuff, we have the game table, the custom field table, the mount table, and the additional application table. All right. Some of this stuff we should be able to delete, though. I don't care about this stuff. This stuff we still need. I'm going to move that elsewhere. And then if the file didn't exist, in other words, this was when we were only using the LaunchBox.xml file. So if it doesn't exist, we were, I was setting this to true so that it wouldn't try and reorganize images because it's obviously a new install. And sure, I don't think this much of this really matters, but we should put this at the top, perhaps. But that's only if, I don't know. I guess we'll wait on that. I'm not clear on that yet. We need to get the game loading stuff. So basically, we need to, loading the games is tricky because obviously we got a different file for each platform. We need to figure out if there's any files in that platforms folder, and if there are, then we load from there. Otherwise, we need to load from the initial LaunchBox.xml file. So, and that's going to change pretty drastically depending. So basically, if directory.exists path.combine application.startup path data platforms. Let's say first platforms path, platforms folder equals this, because we're going to need this later. If directory.exists platforms folder and directory.getFiles platforms folder .count or .length is greater than 0, then we're going to be populating it from the new files, else we're going to populate it from the old LaunchBox.xml file. So I think we're going to need separate methods here for each scenario because it's different. It's going to be a very different scenario, unfortunately, because these are all going to, well, no, we don't. We just need to populate from a particular XML, load games from a particular XML file, ultimately. So I'm going to say private void load games, and we need to feed in string XML path. And all this is going to do is add games from a particular path. And it doesn't matter if it's all combined into a single XML or if it's separated out by platforms. We just need to load the games from that XML path. So what we can do is, at this point, we go for each string. Well, we need to save directory.get files, so we need to save the results of this. So separate this out again. If directory.exist platforms folder, I think that'll be fine. Var files equals directory.get files platforms folder. Let's just do this. For each string file in directory.get files platforms folder, then we're going to call this.loadGames file. And then otherwise, we're just going to assume that the platforms folder isn't going to exist. I think that's a safe assumption if you're using the old LaunchBox.xml file, because there's no reason for it to be there, so I think that's fine. Otherwise, we're just going to say this.loadGames from the old LaunchBox.xml, which we're just doing this like that for now. It's fine. Okay, we need to not do this stuff in certain cases though. If not settings only, then we'll run this whole big block here. And then we need to deal with the whether we're force reloading all or checking to see if the file changed. So in this case, using the old method, come on, think. Using the old method, we don't. Are we ever going to load using the old method where we need to worry about force reloading, that kind of thing? It's always going to be, force reload is always going to be true in this case. Pretty much every time. So, not worried about that. And here, though, if force reload all or this.get file changed path.get file name file, then we call load games. All right, there we be. Now load games, this is going to need to be moved to here. And then we have these 4 groups here, those 4 tables, and those go up here. And we need to load the data set, so we need some of this code. We already know what the file path is. That's the code we need right there. Let's just change this to file path so it matches. We can ignore this. All right. Cool. Now, got to deal with this initial load stuff. Still don't know what to do about that. I don't think we need that. That's not an issue. You know what, though? I think maybe we should go ahead and do this every time. The image is reorganized for 5. I'm thinking we should go ahead and do that every time because basically, well, no, we can't do that. Do it that way. This is part of settings. So when we load the settings, in the case where the file doesn't exist, I think that'll solve that issue. Got a lot of cleanup work to do here. But I think that'll be good. So now we can load, and it will only reload the stuff that changed. One of the issues now, though, is that combining things, removing things, so that we don't have duplicate stuff is my next concern. So we gotta take a look at that. So in the case of settings, it's just one table that it's loading, and it calls settings.load from data row. Now this it's a single data item, sure. So I don't think there's anything to worry about there. It's not going to duplicate anything. So settings are good. Big box settings should be good. Emulators might be duplicated because we go down here, we get the emulators table, and then for each data row in emulators table.rows, we create the new emulator, we load it from the data row, and we call this.emulators.add. So basically, whenever we load emulators, we need to clear them first, I believe. So we're going to say this.emulators.clear. That one's easy. And then same thing for emulator platforms. Oh, but this goes into the emulators objects, so nothing to worry about there since we just cleared the emulators. Now, make sure I start it up at the top here. Big box settings and settings, yeah, so those are good. We just did emulators. Saved filters. And we're adding the saved filters. I'm going to say this.savedFilters.clear. And then platforms. this.platforms.clear. And platform folders are going to be, yeah, that's the same thing. It should be fine. Games are the complicated one because we can't just clear out all the games because obviously we may be reloading some games and not others. So that's tricky. So for example, if we're loading only the Nintendo Entertainment System file, we need to remove all games for the Nintendo Entertainment System platform. And that's tricky because we're going to need to be able to know what the actual platform name is. And I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do that, because we can't take the file name and convert it back to the actual platform name. There's no way to do that. So we kind of have to pull the platform from the first game in the XML. Yeah. And from there, yeah, that's a royal pain. Plus, all right, so first off, in the case of loading it from the LaunchBox.xml, we can just say this.games.clear. So we don't have to worry about that. For this case, though, I have a feeling this is going to bite me in the butt as far as the... Yeah. Kind of need to check that as well. So here's what we're going to do instead. If directory.exists, okay. Hey, OPAC. All right. That'll do it. I don't know, OPAC. I'm not sure. Hopefully somebody else can chime in. Thanks, EA. So that solves that, and then we have the issue of clearing out only the games that apply for the particular file that we're loading. So that's going to have to be inside of load games. We read the XML. Once we get the XML, we get the games table. Once we have the games table, then we can get the platform. So first things first, if games table.rows.count greater than 0, then string platform equals games table.rows 0 platform. Let's add another safety check in here for something stupid. Games table.columns.contains platform. Okay, now at this point, if not string dot, now we can't do that. Well, we just need to clear out all games that match that platform ultimately. Best way to do that, hopefully we can use link. It's going to be a pain. This dot games, yeah, crap. We might want to, come to think of it, we may want to restructure how games are stored. Because otherwise this is going to be kind of a pain. I'm not sure. Although that's going to be a more significant change if we do that. But in theory, if we did that, it would be quicker loading platforms. So, yeah, I don't know. But then it would be slower loading everything else. So for now, let's not do that. So I got to figure out how to remove all games that match a particular platform from this list. So and it's a dictionary, which makes things more difficult. I'm going to have to create a separate list of things to remove, of keys to remove, maybe. So var game IDs to remove equals new list of string. And then for each game in, no. We need the IDs. For each string ID in this.games.keys, var game equals this.games ID. If game.platform is not equal to null, and game.platform.equals platform, current culture, ignore case, then game IDs to remove dot add ID. There we go. Then for each string ID in game IDs to remove, this.games.remove ID. And that is going to clear out anything in there that matches the platform that we're loading, in theory. Hopefully that's not horribly slow. We'll see. We're getting there. We're getting close, I think. And then we have some errors here. What do we got? This is backup.xml is going to need to change completely. So this is going to be a big to-do. The whole concept of what to do there is completely going to change. This we have generate XML. Have that commented out. Then we have file changed. So when we generate the XML, for a particular file, we need to remove that from the list of changed files because we just saved it. So we're going to say if data manager files change contains destination path, and data manager files change remove destination path. Come on. Games folders changing. No, I'm not sure what I said, Ali, but no, game folders aren't changing. The only thing we're doing is separating out the XML into a data folder. And then up here, reload if needed. Okay. So basically in this case, I'm going to call this .load false, false. And I think that'll take care of that. But what we can do is maybe speed this up is if this files data manager files change length or count equals 0, we can return. We don't need to do anything in that case. All right, and we should build. So we'll see what happens. The only thing, the only other thing that is scary is, or the only other thing that I'm thinking we need to add is we need to remove the LaunchBox.xml file, but we don't really need to remove it because we're only checking to see if the other files exist, and if they do, it's just ignored. So it would probably be better if we didn't automatically remove that old LaunchBox.xml file, I'm thinking. So let's leave it alone. So we're built. See what happens here. So at this point, I'm guessing, I don't know if it loaded. I should have checked the folder to see. It should have loaded it from this stuff at this point. It should have loaded it all from here. It really should have. It didn't seem to take... It didn't seem to take any longer to load from what I could tell. So let's try deleting that LaunchBox.xml and see if we can, or moving it somewhere as a backup, and see if it still loads everything up properly. I'm not seeing any real issues, which is kind of a miracle. So we're going to go into here, and I'm just going to cut this for now. Let's put it on the desktop. And load it up again. We have games, guys. Wow. Not bad. So we're obviously loading all these things from the various platforms. Killer. I'm kind of amazed that went so smoothly. Honestly, I didn't expect to just have that work. But praise the Lord for that. That's awesome. All right, so obviously we're loading it from this data at this point. Arcade is the big one. That makes sense. Game Boy Advance. Refreshing the cache is only for images. So, and the other thing is, I don't want to refresh my cache because it slows everything down while it repopulates. So I'm not going to do that right now. But literally, none of these games would be here if it didn't load it up properly from the XML. So the cache doesn't do anything as far as what the games are. It only has to do with the images. So that's nothing to worry about there. But obviously, saving. The next things to work on are to make sure that the saving is working properly and only saving the right files. Right now, I think we're actually saving everything. Whenever we save everything. So that is the next thing we need to tackle is I think on reloading, we're only reloading changed files, which is good. In theory, we're only reloading changed files, but we need to only save the changed files next, and then and only save the changed games as well. So so that's what we need to add next. Right now, when we, for example, we just edit, if we edit Alien versus Predator here, there's nothing in the code that will say, okay, well, we've changed the Atari Jaguar file and we need to save only that file. So that is coming up next. That's what I got to do next. Thank you, K Money. Yeah, Ali, I'll load up Big Box in a second here. Stifilus, I will be I'll be contacting them. Yeah, you probably won't be able to use the beta until we get that stuff going. Yeah, that is going to mess stuff up for the Rocket Launcher guys. So we are going to have to wait. But yeah, that's important. I'll be contacting them immediately later today. Or no, once I get the first beta out, I'll be contacting them. But yes, this is likely to break. Well, here's the thing though, okay? So the Rocket Launcher plugin is going to be using the LaunchBox.xml. I'm not going to remove the LaunchBox.xml. All right? I'm going to leave that there. So Rocket Launcher will continue to use that LaunchBox.xml. So worst case scenario is it's going to get outdated and Rocket Launcher will be working with outdated data. Okay? So it shouldn't break anything, even if you install the new beta. What it will do is just Rocket Launcher will be forced to use outdated data until they update their stuff. So that's not too bad. That's a good solution. Yeah. Hey, Mamo. Cool. Let's load up Big Box just to make sure it loads up here. I gotta click it again because LaunchBox was still exiting, I think. Oh, and that's going slower now because we need to add that code. So that's worth noting. Need to add the code to only save what changed. Because right now it's saving everything. Looking good. Let's go into Super Nintendo. No issues. I think we're good. Hey, hey. So next, we got 35 minutes left. Let's get into when a game is changed, we need to note that the game was changed. or note that the platform was changed primarily. That's the important thing. So whenever a game is saved, so if I go into my game class, anytime any property is updated on the game class or on any of the other related game items, and we need to do the same thing for all the other things too. So I wonder if there's a good way to do this generically so it's not annoying, and we don't gotta add a bunch of code everywhere. This game is a data item, right? So every single one of these things is a data item. They all inherit from data items. So we have load from data row, that doesn't apply. Add to table, that doesn't apply. Create table, that doesn't apply. Yeah, crap. So basically these are properties that just have generic getters and setters, which stinks because there's no easy way for me to run some code in the setter automatically for all of these things. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there, if there's a good way to do that generically. What the last thing I want to do is change every single setter for every single one of these files. So I don't know. Have to think about that one. Mammal, I'm a software tester in real life. A huge question I have is how do you handle your error logs? Okay, Money. Yeah, he will. That's another good point. I'm going to have to contact Artsu as well. Good point. Mammal, I'm a software tester in real life. A huge question I have is how do you handle your error logs? To be honest, Mammal, that's a pain point for me right now. We don't have good error logs, and we need to add better error logging. Right now, basically, the only thing we have is when a crash happens, you get that crash window, and then you're asked to share it. That's about it. So I don't have good logs going on at all, honestly. Just because I never went back and added that stuff. So it's kind of an issue right now. So how are we going to deal with this, with setters for all these various properties? I don't know. I wonder if there's a way for me to use reflection. I'm not sure. Gave you a heart attack? How so, OPEC? So we need to note when a particular item is changed, ultimately. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I'm glad that's fixed. However, we still have an issue with the voice recognition in the UK. UK users can't use the voice recognition right now, which is really irritating. So lack of comments. I hate comments. I comment where I feel like the code doesn't explain things. But man, or if I need to remember something, but I don't like comments. I never did. Bad coder, bad. Yeah. You know what's funny though? Some of the best coders I've ever met and worked with, the really good coders don't put in a lot of comments. At least with high level languages like C#. I firmly believe that comments are a waste of time unless the code is not self-explanatory. If the code is self-explanatory, you don't need comments. You're just wasting your time and everybody else's time. Firm believer in that, but a lot of people don't agree with me on that one. Aliases for platform names and voice recognition, not currently, no. Although I know we need that. Yeah. Yep. I hear you, K-Money. It's hard. I was looking at the bar top trying to figure out where to put a microphone. And because I was going to do that demo, but I haven't figured that one out yet either. And it's hard to get a good microphone, too, that isn't too obtrusive. So that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to work out for that stuff. So how am I going to determine if one of these files changes? This is only happening when loading it from the data set. Add to table. This is taking an item and adding it to a table, creating the table based on the properties. But we are looping through the properties. I know how to loop through the properties in the class. Once I have the properties, how do I determine if they've been set? I don't know that there's a way to do that. C# reflection property set event. Hey, raise an event when property changed using reflection. I wonder if this is even possible. Yeah, I figured. No, there's not. Dang it. That's not what I'm looking for. So yeah, I could do this by adding this code for every single property, but that's not what I want to do. That's just wasteful and annoying. I want to do this generically so that I don't have to change 10,000 lines of code. I'm not sure there's going to be a good way to do this, though, honestly. Using reflection to insert code in a property set method. Run a piece of custom code upon a property being set. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do this at runtime using reflection. I cannot work out a way of running a piece of custom code when a value is set. I can get a reference to the set method info, but I don't know if this is the correct approach. This is impossible to achieve using reflection. Decorator pattern. Huh. So the decorator pattern I'm already using. Any property that has the data table export decorator on it, which I think is what that means. That's what means we should save it to the XML ultimately. I'm trying to do this more generically than that, Retro. I want to do this for many different types, anything that inherits from data item. And I don't want to add a bunch of code in for every single situation that saves this stuff. That's not what I'm interested in doing. What I want to do is do this generically on the back end so that I don't got to change any of the front end code. But it's all automatically handled by the back end. One of the reasons why this was so quick to change is because I've separated out the back end saving code from the rest of the LaunchBox logic. So we definitely don't want to get into front end code if we can help it for these types of changes. In theory, anyways. I don't even know what this guy's talking about. Assuming the class you want to wrap is a third-party class. Wrap the setters. Oh, and raise an event, you wrap. I see. That's not really what I want. So, honestly, I don't think there's a good way to do this. So basically what this means is every single data table export property that I've added in all these classes across the board, I'm going to have to change so that when they're set, I trigger a value that specifies that it's been changed. I don't know how else to do this, which is annoying. And there ought to be a better way to do that. Not to mention, I'm also going to need, I'm also going to need like private variables in addition to the public properties for all these things. That's just yuck. It's not fun. Trees and graphs. It sounds like you're in college or in a class. Bes N1Q, however you say that. Besnick. Trees and graphs are not important, no. But if you're in college, they are. Learning the algorithms sounds like college classes to me. It's good to know how that stuff works, but is it crucial? No, it's not at all. In all honesty. That's typical education for you, forcing you to learn a bunch of crap you don't really need to know. Which is why I dropped out of college with 2 classes left. But that's for another day. That's another story. So I might be a little bit biased. I'm still trying to come up with a good solution in my head for this, guys. A lot of hemming and hoeing, I know. I'm sorry for that. I don't want to have to modify all these files unless I absolutely know there's no better solution for this. So I guess anytime we save settings, I could manually do it in the UI. Yeah, that's possible. But that is going to be more error prone than if I managed to do it on the back end. And it makes more sense to do it on the back end. Uh-oh, should I pull up that video or not? Code Monk. Oh, I like Jonathan Colton.
Code Monkey, get up, get coffee. Code Monkey, go to job. Code Monkey, have boring meeting with boring manager Rob. Rob say Code Monkey very diligent, but his output stink. Is code not functional or elegant? What do Code Monkey think? Code Monkey think maybe manager wanna write goddamn login page himself. Code Monkey not saying out loud. Code Monkey not crazy, just proud. Code Monkey like Fritos. Code Monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code Monkey very simple man. Big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey like you. Code Monkey hang around at front desk till you sweat.
I really kind of want to keep watching this, guys, but I'm not sure I should watch it for 5 minutes in the stream. But I love Jonathan Colton. Seriously. For obvious reasons. You know. So I will watch this later, I promise. That's really awesome. I like that. I was getting all kinds of kicks out of that. I'll get back to that. Jade, I'm in the middle. Can't you see, Jade? I'm in the middle of tackling an extremely important thing. We will get back to issue 1402, but not right this instant, Jade. Alright, so what the heck am I going to do here? What the heck am I... Yeah, I did enjoy that, and I'm going to finish it after the stream. I appreciate that. Oh, man. So, what? Oh, man. What the heck? Maybe I could... No. Save the values, and then check if they've changed. If any of them have changed. I could try that. So, in data item, we load it from a data row. I could loop through and use a dictionary and set the values, and then check the values to see if any of them are different. That's not a bad idea. That's actually a really good idea. What types of media itself does LaunchBox download from the LaunchBox database? Basically just images right now. We don't have video support yet. We don't have music support yet. So I think, yeah, it's just images. Maybe I don't even know my own database. Goodness sakes, I got too much in my head. But yeah, it's just images right now. Guys, I would take a breather, but I just got an excellent idea. As far as hugs, Jade. As far as how to solve this problem. So that's what I'm going to do. When we load from a data row, after we load everything up, I can save the values into a dictionary and compare them to... Well, no, I can't, because that's going to be slow. Because we don't want to do that for every single object. Crap. That's going to be way too slow. Well, poo. Oh, there's a lot of different image types, DJ Quad. You can check. The easiest way to check what image types are available is to go add a new image, and you'll see a drop-down list with all the image types. There's a lot. There really is. Pretty much everything. And more. As far as, I mean, when what's populated is different than...
I mean, what's available is different than what is the types. There's a lot more types than what are typically populated in the database, but it supports pretty much everything. Poo. So the fastest way to do this would be to change all the code across everything. I just don't want to do that unless we absolutely have to do that. Maybe I can figure out how to inject code for every property. Reflection, inject code. How do I do that? Can I inject a few lines of my code? No, I don't want to. It doesn't even need to be someone else's code. It can be. That's not what I want to do. Trying to make the creation of. Okay. That's exactly what I want to do. Interesting. Figures. No good. Huh. Man, my tablet back there is blowing up. Somebody just keeps talking to me over and over and over. I don't know who it is. I'll check it out after the stream, though. I want to mute that stupid thing so I don't got to listen to it any longer. Shut up. All right. That's true. Nothing ever worth doing is easy. So it feels like I'm going to be back to setting every single one of these stupid setters. Changing the code across the entire thing, which is just yuck, ugly. Why does it want to update every time you start it up, OPAC? Do we have a glitch there? That's not the way it should be. Oh, you're just saying with beta releases I release betas too often? Gotcha. Yeah. I do way too many betas, probably. I know what you mean. So. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm still not happy with the solution. And if I have to sit here, I don't mind restructuring things, but I don't like duplicating the same code in 1,000 different spots, and that's what ultimately I'll be doing if I don't come with a better solution for this. So for that reason, I'm not content with this yet, and I'm going to sit here and think until I can come up with a solution. I'm actually I'm actually happy with. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hem and hoe in privacy here for a little while, and go ahead and end the stream. But it's been good. We got saving and loading working with the separate XMLs. That's a big win. It's just the only thing left, other than testing and stuff like that, is to just only save things that have changed, and that's what I'm trying to do well. And I don't have a good solution for that currently, so that's what I'm going to focus on here. Hopefully, it doesn't take me the rest of the day to solve that, and we'll be able to move on to some other stuff. But and then hopefully I'll be able to get a beta out today. Contact the Rocket Launcher guys. Contact Artsu with LEDBlinky, and let them know that I've made these changes, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that's the plan. Jade, yeah, I know that absolutely. Yeah, no hard feelings. I wasn't offended in the slightest. Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, I'm rage quitting pretty much. No, I'm just ending the stream so I can scream and yell without everybody watching me. No, but I don't. I just don't want to run and jump on something that I'm not going to be happy with in the end. So it's kind of where I'm at right now. I do need to get up, take a 15-minute break, get something to eat, that kind of thing, and then come back with a fresh mind. That's usually the smartest thing to do in this situation, because I'll get a new idea, and we'll be and all that, and it'll be a good improvement. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. More than anything else, I want to get up, walk around a little bit, get some more coffee, then come back and take a new look at the code. So I'm not really that frustrated. I just don't want to do it in a way that I'm not going to be happy with later and then have to restructure it. That sucks. So yeah, thanks everybody. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. In the shower. Yeah. The shower is a good way, which if you couldn't tell, I did not shower this morning. So there you go. Maybe I should just take a shower. That always works. It really does. Every single time. All right, guys. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.